Okay, so this is the video all about Boundary Bootcamp, where you'll get everything you need to overcome your boundary blocks, build healthy boundaries that work for you and hold them even in the face of resistance, so you can start feeling great about yourself, revamp your relationships so they're juicier, healthier and harmonious without you having to compromise, and create a life that works for you. In this video, I'm going to tell you all about it so that you can discover exactly how you can stop dying inside because you can't help saying yes when you mean no, and start having rock solid, super clear boundaries that you can communicate with confidence. Fair enough? Okay, so acting like things are okay when they're not is a hallmark of someone who suffers from poor boundaries, and I think it's fair to say as you hear that probably happens to you a lot, and it's probably happened recently. I want to help you change that, and the change starts now. So let me ask you directly, were you really okay with that? Has something been said or not said, done or not done, asked or not asked, and something inside you glitches? It just doesn't feel good, and yet you hear yourself tell them, and likely yourself, it's okay, but it's not. You've just had a boundary crossed, a boundary you maybe daren't even admit to yourself is there, let alone state it and hold it. Way too much risk. So why bother, eh? And you can take it, you always have. You're strong, you're a rock, that's your thing. So another piece of you gets put in a box and well-rehearsed rationalizations nail the lid down. I want to be clear, I'm not judging you because God knows I've been a master of that. So let's be honest, it's just you and me here, and I think we both know what's really going on in here. Deep down, you're crying. It didn't feel good. It wasn't okay. And actually, why the fuck do I have to take it? Why the fuck do I take it upon myself to take it? Am I so fucking pathetic that I can't stand up for myself? I can't say what I want, what I need, and boil as I do in my secret inner world, I'll smile and say it's okay to the world when it's not, again and again and again. No wonder I don't think much of myself. No wonder I don't trust myself. No wonder I wonder who the fuck I am. Like I said, I know the territory. But if you're ready, if you're willing, and if frankly you've suffered enough, then let's get you the hell out of there, because you deserve better. And there is a way out, and you, my golden-hearted friend, can do it, and I would love to help you. I want you to join me in Boundary Bootcamp. You just need to click that button below and then keep watching, and I'll give you all the details of what you get when you register and how it all works, and how you and I can work together along with other people that are on the same journey with you so we can get you there. In case we've not met, I'm Joel Young, and people know me mostly as the creator and custodian of MPA. MPA stands for non-personal awareness. It's a philosophy and a practice which takes a relational approach to life in all its contrasts. The MPA process has touched the lives of millions around the world, helping them to stop taking things personally, let go of blocks, and start living their dreams. I've over 25 years experience of healing and teaching internationally. I've worked with many hundreds of people one-on-one, helping them transform and thrive. And I'm passionate about offering simple, powerful ways that allow people to make a genuine difference to their lives, reducing suffering and increasing joy. So I've traveled a long journey with boundaries, from no sense of self to a sense of no self as I searched in the boundless perspective of spirituality, to a strong sense of self as an expression of the divine that deserves honouring. In the first stage, frankly, I was a doormat, hopelessly unclear on who I was, willing to mould myself to fit in and please others. Turned out it was a deep survival strategy for me that avoided the potential conflict of being visible, of showing up in a household where things were bad enough without a me to contend with. It was a pseudo-kindness to others, which actually left me feeling empty and denied me to others. In the second stage, gave me a spiritual identity, which is odd considering it was based on the non-dual principles of I am nobody, I am nothing. But if you're resonating enough to come this far with me, then I'm guessing you've noticed that hypocrisy already. But of course, it was a perfect next step because at least an identity was allowed to be seen in that context, and yet the setup didn't threaten the survival strategy. So the paradox kind of worked. But as MPA was born in 2007, it and life decided to move me into stage 3. And this would be a long process of discovering all the illusions and all the pains and the depths to which I would go to defend my survival strategy. It would show me my deepest denials, fears and false okaynesses. But ultimately, it would help me not only define and become clear on my boundaries, but also maintain them. Self-respect, self-permission, self-trust, self-confidence, self-expression, all these finally had somewhere secure to land in me. And things got really clear, really aligned and deeply magnetic to the joys and flow of life. You see, expressed healthy boundaries are an energetic statement of who you are in the world. Yes, to others, but more vitally to yourself. It's the foundation of showing up in the world as you. It's the essential basis of actually fulfilling your dreams, living your purpose, and doing what you're here to do. When you realize that boundaries are about you and not the other person, your life can really shift gears. So if you're still saying yes when you mean no, if you find yourself making things okay when honestly they're not, then don't let it be another decade. I put together a 4-week course because I want to help you get there faster. I want to share all that I've come to understand, and I want to share the path that I've found, and I want to guide you through the steps that'll take you from someone who is likely lost, confused, and maybe even fearful when it comes to boundaries, to someone who understands how to untangle the knots that have blocked you from making the changes in the past, and the steps that'll help you to become someone who's able to build strong, healthy boundaries and communicate them and hold them going forward. I've called the course Boundary Bootcamp, and as you can probably tell, I am so passionate about it because I know what a huge difference it can make to your life. Now, it's called Bootcamp for a reason. It's definitely not a course that's there to tell you what's a good boundary and what's a bad boundary. It's designed to help you define your own boundaries. In fact, it's there to help you discover where you are right now, to give you the tools that you can use ongoing to remove those resistances and blocks, to discover what those entanglements are that have kept you stuck, and help you identify and construct for yourself healthy boundaries that work for you, step by step, because it's an ongoing process. And it's there to give you some communication tools so you can begin to learn how to express your boundaries, and also give you the tools to help you hold those boundaries, because maintaining our boundaries is one of the biggest things. And even in the face of resistance from others, there's help for that there too. If you've realized that you have issues with boundaries, and you're aware at least some of the degree to which that causes you pain and mutes your experience of life, then this is going to be an accelerated journey that gets you clear on where you are, untangles the knotty resistances, helps you build healthy boundaries that work for you now, and communicate them and hold them even under difficult or tricky circumstances. It takes place over 4 weeks. It's an online video course, so each week you'll get a new module, a series of videos which will cover one of the 4 steps. And they'll include some education, some perspectives that can help you to understand aspects of boundaries and explode some of the myths. And there'll be activities and processes for you to do. That's why I called it a boot camp, so you can move yourself forward each week. I'm also offering accountability, peer support and my support in a private Facebook group to answer questions and keep you on track as you take each step. So I'm guessing by now there's a decision landed in you somewhere as to whether you're ready for this and you want this. And if you do, then go ahead and click the link or the button around here and let's do this. So go ahead and use that button that you can see below this video so we can get you started. I cannot wait to see you in the Boundary Bootcamp program. So let's take a look inside the program and then you can book your spot today. So here we are inside. You know, I love this program. I love it because it's a passion of mine. I've seen the amazing transformations it's had for people that have gone through it, and I love that for you. So first up, just to say that when you buy a course from me, you get it for life. So lots of people buy from me with that kind of chomping at the bit feeling and they're going to dive straight in. And I hope that's you today, but I do get that we have busy lives. So if you're thinking, you know, should I buy now and maybe I can do it later? Well, yes, you can. You don't have to worry about that. You can get it today, and then when you're ready to carve out some time to do it, you can do it. Now, I would encourage you to do it as soon as possible. Why? Because I want you to start shifting your boundaries, start using these tools as soon as you possibly can. So if you do buy it and then decide that you want to do it later, I recommend that you find a time, put it in your diary, a time when you can start putting these skills into action, and maybe put a notification on your phone, in your calendar, whatever you do, so that you make sure you've got a specific time that you want to do it. But you do have it for life, so that's something that you can definitely do. Now, when you sign up, the first thing that will happen is you'll get your login details from me. And when you log in, this is what you'll see. So the one that you're seeing here has got all weeks already showing, because I want to show you around. What you'll get, of course, in week 1 is the welcome video here, and then the week 1 here. And then exactly a week from when you buy it, you'll get week 2, a week later, week 3, and week 4. I've paced it out because each one needs a bit of time just to work through what's offered, to watch the videos, do the process work, and get you ready for the next week. Now, if you do come in later, of course, you'll have it all at once and you can work through it at your own pace. So it's very intuitive to navigate around the course. So you just need to click on the week, or what I recommend is you start with this welcome video, which gives you sort of a setup. It tells you how to navigate the whole thing, and you know, some really good basic information to get you started. And then you can go into week 1. So just click on that, or the picture, all words will do. And this is how each week will look. It's broken into sections 1, 2, and 3 here. And each of these represent video lessons, which some of which will have worksheets that you can download, and some are just the video. And then when you click, if you say start with the course overview, it goes into the player. So each player will have all the videos from the section. It's a bit like Netflix, really. You hit play, and when it comes to the finish, it will automatically play the next one. You know, it'll even come up with a thing that says in 6 seconds to make it that kind of Netflix experience. And you can go through the videos, and then you can hit the next category, which will take you on to the next section. So also you can use these breadcrumbs and go back. So we can go back to the modules, which will be the weeks, and then come back into whichever week you're working with. So let's have a quick look at week 1. So week 1 is really where you get sort of a real sense of where you are. You're going to identify where are your boundary issues. When we start here in the boundary foundations with key distinctions and red flags and identifiers. And this is really crucial because I want you to be really clear on what a boundary is and what a boundary is not. That is foundational to the course. And then because you're going to be identifying where your boundary issues are, the red flags and identifiers give you a map for where to spot where those boundary issues are in your life. And then we get into the self-assessment section in week 1. Now, this is where you really lay out what is happening in your life right now. And then we go into the intentions and focus points, where you start to sort of scale the different situations you come up with. And you'll pick 2 or 3, and those 2 or 3 situations you'll work right through the course, because in those 2 to 3 situations will be the seeds of all the fundamental issues that you have around boundaries. And then the last bit here in week 1 is getting leverage to change. This is a really powerful exercise you get. You can use it in lots of different situations, but it helps you to get leverage to come to a place of deep internal realization about why it's a really good idea to change, because you might know it cognitively, but there's a way you can get access to it on a much more full-bodied level. Now, this week 1, is a week that has been described as challenging. It's called a boot camp, but the people that have gone through it said that ultimately it was a really sort of freeing and enlightening week, that when they come to the completion already felt stronger. In fact, there were some people, and I don't ask you to take your boundaries out into the world until week 4, but already found just from doing the process of week 1, were already starting to speak up more than they ever had before. So once you've done all that kind of audit, the boundary audit, you're ready for week 2. And week 2 is where you untangle the knots. Now, it took me a long time and lots of trial and error to really understand what was going on inside of me. But what I've done is I've condensed it into a map you can follow to really begin to identify what are the parts at play. So in this section of distinctions and discernments, we really go into how emotions and survival instincts and survival strategies all get entangled together so that you can recognize what is going on inside of you. In fact, this section alone, I love this section because it will give you information about how emotions operate that can be in itself transformational for you, but certainly you can take forward in other areas of your life. And then once you've got an understanding of that, we go into this section, which is the real roll your sleeves up. This is where you do the inner emotional process work. And I take you through a way of looking at anger, fear, and sadness as the main parts of that, and how to identify how they are operating in relation to your boundaries. Plus, you'll also get tools for each of the different ways that those different emotions operate. So you'll have a map to literally, in week 2, you're going to work through the gunk, the stuff you've taken on, the way you've got these entanglements. So you literally will untangle the knot. So by the end of week 2, you're going to be in a state where you're so free from the old sludge that as you go forward into week 3, you won't be taking that baggage with you. Because I found that the baggage that I had that wasn't looked at, and God knows I'd looked at my emotional stuff, but there's a way that in the context of boundaries, there are unique things that happen. So once you've cleared that out, you're ready for week 3. So let's go to week 3. And week 3 is where you are building the healthy boundaries. So, the boundary audit might not be the sexiest of stuff, but this certainly is. It starts with a checklist because there are actually a lot of different parts to getting a true, healthy, powerful, congruent boundary. And the checklist really is the foundation of going through the boundary construction. So it's actually a very distinct process of how you take your situation, discover what the boundary is really about, and then construct your healthy boundary. So I give you 3 examples here, 3 personal examples from my life, and I walk you through the process so you have a very clear idea of how you can take your situations and discover what your boundaries are and step fully and powerfully into them. In fact, the final section of week 3 is the rehearsal section. And I'm a big fan of rehearsal because, if you're an actor, you're not going to go on stage without doing a lot of rehearsal first. And in week 4, you're about to take these shiny new boundaries out into the world. So in this section, I give you a number of different ways to rehearse and to really get solid and practiced in your boundary before we get to week 4, where you take it out into the world. So let's have a look at week 4. So week 4, possibly my favorite. I love them all. Probably my favorite week, because again, I found that even when I was pretty clear on my boundaries, once I took them out into the world, bless it, is a place that's likely to offer you resistance, because chances are you've been the person in other people's lives that's gone along with things. Maybe they see you as a yes person or even a pushover. And as you start to stand in these congruent, strong boundaries, as humans, we don't tend to like change. So here, it took me a long time to learn all this stuff. I've condensed all the tools that I know are really powerful at meeting that resistance, dealing with it really well, and so that you can hold that boundary, which is such a crucial part. So it starts with some videos about communication congruence and language patterns, and there's a whole video on saying no. There's lots of different ways to say no. This will give you the language tools you need so you can be forearmed. Because I'd find that I'd fumble around my language, and that would be part of the collapse that I'd experience. And then this section, this is just amazing, this section. I discovered there are a whole set, there's actually 7 manipulation tactics that we all tend to use. Now, they can be used in a full-on, very deliberate way, but for the most part, they're considered part of normal behavior. And, you know, generally, I was a people-pleasing person, a good-hearted man. You know, I'd fall for this stuff. So this video in particular, the 7 manipulation tactics to be aware of, I've had several people who've been to the course say that video alone was worth the entry price for them in terms of value, because it not only goes through what are those 7 manipulation tactics, but it also shines a spotlight and says, you know, this is the game that's being played, this is the agenda that's going on, and here's how to deal with it, here's how to respond to it, here's how to stay on track and hold your boundary in face of that. And then we finish up the course with an acknowledgement that boundaries are an evolving thing. This video here, the 4 dancers, is really my model for you to approach that evolutionary process going forward. It's really about the dance between the sort of accountability aspects of things, but also that flexibility and kindness to you. So once you've completed this course, it's really about practice and taking it forward. And one thing I realize I haven't mentioned is on every page down here is a link through to the Boundary Bootcamp Facebook group, which you get as part of this course. Now, the people in there already are incredibly supportive. This is a place where you can really get ongoing support absolutely throughout the course. So, for example, you could be watching, say, the 7 manipulation tactics. Let me click on there and then go, oh, I wouldn't mind knowing about, you know, that a bit more about, I've got a question here. You can click onto the Facebook group link there and it will take you there. Or alternatively, of course, you can always use the comments. If you're not a Facebooker, I get it. You can use the comments which are on every post so that you can be sure to find a way to get support from me. And if you're in a Facebook group, the wonderfully supportive people that are there. So that's Boundary Bootcamp. I can't wait to welcome you inside the program. All you got to do right now is see there's a button underneath this video right here. So go ahead, use that button to place your order, and I'll see you on the other side in just a second to welcome you into the course.